The Dream SMP has incredible amounts of lore, and given where I'm at in the story, some of it has been pretty dark, so it's no wonder that Game Theory had the dark future of the Dream SMP all ironed out, but has it held up? That's what we're going to look at today. Let's get into it. Welcome back, friends, and a special welcome to all the new friends out there. I'm YoBGS, and admittedly, I'm still about a month behind on the Dream SMP, but this video came out a little while ago, so I think I'm up to speed. It's Game Theory's video on the dark future of the Dream SMP. Now, before we get into Game Theory's video, I wanted to tell you that if you want to stop by, I am live on my Twitch as you're seeing this, twitch.tv/YoBGS. The horses may now rest. The mules may live among the donkeys, may live among the llamas, with no more fear. Seeing that there is apparently a dark future, the dark future of the Dream SMP, that's something that I had to check out. Let's get into it. All right, we're starting out with the Manburg flag. Pretty solid already. Now, I'm going to give you some of my theories as well about where I think the Dream SMP is going. But if you want me to do those in a separate video, feel free to leave a comment down below. Maybe I'll get that video out in the next few days. Also, if you like what I'm doing, make sure to check if you're subscribed and tell a friend. I think we're doing something different here, and I appreciate any help I can get on my journey. Hey, we're almost at 30K. All right, 07s in chat, everybody. Got to get those 07s going. Our home and native land. No. Ew. I don't know that I like... Oh, I don't know that I... What happened to you? I don't know that I like my buddy here being so maniacal. That's kind of wild. I dig the intro, though. So believe it or not, I have actually not really seen a Game Theory video before. I may have caught one in passing, but I've never specifically looked up Game Theory. So this is my first time. I'm hoping that I don't talk over him.
Welcome to Game
There
Theory, the show that's like a baby zombie, small and unassuming, but persistent and dangerous. Today, I'm here
capable of ruining 5 years of your life. No, actually, because if you think about it, Phil's is probably, I hate to say it, Phil's is better off now than he would have been if that world were still going on. I think. I would like to think anyway.
Dream SMP. And now that I've said that, I'm sure that all of my viewers probably fall into one of two camps. Those yelling, "At last our prayers are answered," and those that are wondering what the heck I'm talking about. So at this point, if you...
Shout out to Tim the Toolman Taylor. I see that both Game Theory and Curtis Connor like using the
care at all about Minecraft or YouTube or Minecraft YouTubers, you've probably heard of a guy named Dream. He's become famous for a lot of things,
buddy.
Including manhunt videos, unsolved mystery videos, as well as an appearance on one of this channel's very own Minecraft lore videos. Excuse me, why is there a big neon green block creature in my video? But one of the things that's really blown up over the course of the last year is the Dream SMP, or Survival Multiplayer Server.
That's a different server, right? That's not on the Dream SMP. If that's actually a building on the SMP, I can't wait to see what we're getting into.
So you might be thinking survival multiplayer server, so it's just Dream playing Minecraft
the Dream
with
SMS.
friends. And, well, yeah, sort of. The truth is that the Dream SMP is to Minecraft survival multiplayer what professional wrestling is to, well, the sport of wrestling, which is...
Honestly, the Dream SMP is to Minecraft what professional wrestling kind of is to Minecraft. Like, I've been comparing in my comments now for a while the Dream SMP to pro wrestling. Like, just because they know what's going to happen doesn't mean we know what's going to happen. And also, just because they act a certain way on camera doesn't mean that it reflects the views of these people's personal lives. It doesn't mean that they should be personally attacked, right? It's just something that you're enjoying in a show. Because in my video yesterday, a lot of people told me, "Hey, man, it's an act. Calm down." I'm like, I understand that. That's why I'm consuming the action, you know, in the way that you would. I'm booing the people that want to be booed, and I'm cheering the people that want to be cheered. If I just sit there and I'm like, well, this is an act, why bother watching? There's no reason to watch it in the first place.
Is to say it's structured improv. There's a story here made by a team of writers. Yeah, writers, plural. It's not to say that everyone's reading from a script. While the broad strokes of the plot are planned out, all of the connective tissue between those major plot beats is improvised. And of course, there's room for plenty of unexpected gameplay moments. No.
Oh, we just saw it the other day.
My thing!
That wasn't in the script.
I mean, that's funnier now. Thank you, Rambo, for dropping cannon. Because I'm trying to remember if that would have been, no, that at this point, yeah, never mind. So, but that still would have been awesome if it was.
In the world of professional wrestling, that is what we call a shoot, or a moment in professional wrestling that's unplanned, unscripted, or just an actual real-life occurrence.
Shout out to Terry
for
Funk.
Anyone in the audience? We all know that professional wrestling is scripted, right? Trying to summarize the timeline of the Dream SMP is like trying to summarize the time.
He sort of got it right there. By the way, that's another thing I'm excited about in this video, is my Discord, which I'll leave a link to in the pinned comment below, it said that it's a good summary, but the theory isn't very great. So that's why I'm excited to check this out and give my theory on things. A shoot in pro wrestling is when something is real, and then it tends to become a part of the angle. Whereas I think in the Dream SMP, the fact that Dream blew himself up in Tommy's basement, that was like a non sequitur. They cut that out. That hit the floor. But in wrestling, like a shoot in wrestling is an actual fight. And if somebody gets beaten up, in an actual fight, there's no real way to be like, oh, that didn't happen. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I would say it's more just free form. Like the plot, it's weird, right? Because you guys have told me this with canon deaths. Canon deaths aren't important until they are. And it's sort of like lore doesn't matter until it does. Like anything Technoblade said when he was farming Wither Skulls may not have mattered that much until it comes back, and then someone's like, oh yeah, you totally missed out on that.
The 20th century. If I tried to start, I'd have to cover the birth of a nation in no fewer than 4 separate wars. And that's not me making a joke or trying to make an analogy here. A lot of the story here is political in nature, with the ongoing narrative being one of a nation in turmoil, with warring political factions trying to gain power over the populace by any means necessary.
All right, I'm with you so far.
All of it is taking place within live streams. Lots and lots of very long live
My
streams.
goodness.
There have been over 30 people involved in this thing, with the narrative playing out over hundreds of hours of live streaming. Actually, just saying hundreds of hours is understating it, because totaling up all the live streams across multiple channels to see the POV of multiple participants already gives you close to 100 videos to watch, and any one of those could be upwards of 6 to 8 hours in length. It feels almost impossible to catch up with this thing too, considering how often new live streams are happening.
That's the Minecraft Championship. That's not the Dream SMP. But yeah, somebody made me a playlist. They were like, here's what you need to watch to get caught up. And it was 80 videos. And those were cut down. So I absolutely understand what Game Theory is going through here.
Put a disclaimer here that the script for this video is being written right before Christmas, which almost guarantees that by the time it comes out, the things I'm predicting have either been proven right or horribly, horribly wrong.
And I've made it to Christmas.
I could not talk about this thing. It was, without question, the biggest thing happening in gaming in 2020, just behind Among Us.
It
a
still
group
is.
Of friends blowing up together on Twitch because they're using Minecraft to create an ongoing improv narrative is incredible and absolutely worthy of attention. Plus, I was getting a lot of requests on Twitter to do a theory about this, and I didn't want to ignore you guys. At MatPatGT, by the way. Plus,
good to
I'm
know.
a musical theater nerd. I hear a Hamilton reference. I like it.
I practiced law. Wilbur. Work next door.
Even though we started at the very same time, TommyInnit began to climb. How to account for his rise to the top.
Wow.
Man, the Hamilton
So I missed that
references
part.
are
I missed the
nonstop.
overt
And
Hamilton
since
references.
We are on the subject of Hamilton the musical actually provides a really good framework for how to approach telling a story with the scope of everything that's happening in the Dream SMP. Much like Hamilton took a series of history-defining events spanning several decades and condensed it down into a 3-hour musical character study, this theory is going to be taking a series of events spanning several months of 6+ hour long live streams and condense it down into, well, something kind of resembling a character study centering on one specific hero. And spoilers for those of you who don't know the ending of Hamilton, but this story also ends in tragedy. In short,
boy, you're not kidding. This story ends in colossal amounts of tragedy. But if this was written, no, it was written far enough along that he knows about what Tommy went through. So I'm interested to see where he thinks the tragedy is going to go from there, because it's interesting, right? MatPat and I are in sort of parallel points. I've got a couple little nuggets from the future that sort of tell me what, again, I don't know exactly what happens. I just sort of know where things go. So I'm interested to see if he ends up in the same in the same spot.
Today's video is all about who history has had its eyes on. and
Definitely
who
not
you
George.
should have
George
your
is
eyes on
sleeping.
going forward in the Dream SMP. And spoiler alert, he's already dead. And with that intro, allow me to tell you the tragic tale of the rise and fall of a tyrant, and why he might be poised to rise once again.
That's only season
this
1,
time
though.
From beyond the grave. For a bit of background, there are several major factions that exist within the Dream SMP. The largest of which is,
I've not
confusingly
seen
enough,
half of these.
named Dream SMP. For the sake of clarity, most have taken to referring to this faction as the Greater Dream SMP, and I'm gonna follow their lead. It's the closest
I
thing
just call
to
it the
being a
DSMP,
neutral
honestly.
faction, almost a sort of default faction for the characters who haven't split off to do their own thing. As you might guess, it's led by its founder, Dream. Dream also gets executive veto over who's allowed in the server. For instance,
All right, first of all, that's a little bit odd because he has YoSchlatt as neutral, and YoSchlatt was already dead at the point that this was written, and Dream was already colossally evil at this point. So I wouldn't put Dream in the Greater Dream SMP. Dream is like the greater evil at this
back
point.
in July, when JSchlatt joined the server for the first time, he was banned very shortly after, since Dream didn't know him. When it's your party, you get to decide who's on the guest list,
Makes
I
sense.
suppose. The first major faction to declare
This
its
server rules
independence
because
from
it
the
has
Greater
rules.
Dream SMP was Manburg, back in late July, with the war for independence between Manburg and the Dream Team faction finally settling in early August.
That was back
Manburg
in
started
August?
as an autocratic nation state.
Crap,
with
I thought that was
self-appointed
like
dictator,
November.
President Wilbur Soot, presiding with TommyInnit as his
Oh
right-hand man.
no! Oh no! Wilbur Soot! Wilbur Soot! Oh, I made the same mistake, MatPat. It's okay. It's okay.
However, that dictator for life thing didn't really pan out long term. After all, a ruler only rules by the consent of the governed. And despite the fact that Wilbur Soot had declared himself supreme leader, the citizens weren't taking his orders
Get
all that
suited.
seriously. So what do you do if you want to shore up legitimacy as a ruler? You hold a democratic election.
I'm running for president. The reason I'm running for president is because, well, I felt like it was unfair of me to decide myself to be a dictator.
Okay, so maybe if you want to believe the man himself, it was because he grew a conscience. Anyway, Wilbur Soot, joined by TommyInnit as his running mate, ran as the Politicians of Gaming, or POG for short. The problem with democratic elections is that, well, people can run against you.
So this is already kind of backwards. The whole point, they didn't run as POG 2020 until Swag 2020 had already been established, right? They didn't run as... They didn't come up with a party. They were originally just going to have a primary, not necessarily even that. They were just going to declare that there's an election, close the election, and make themselves the only candidates. Then Quackity snuck in, then JSchlatt snuck in, and then they had to, as a reaction, come up with their
Quackity,
platform.
who'd been up to that point a Manburg outsider, decided to run against him because, well, you've got to have yourself an opposition party.
My name is Quackity, and I am running for president simply because I didn't think it was fair for Wilbur Soot to run a one-party democratic election.
I mean, I get it, but that's sort of not the way it happened. Quackity was naked, standing atop a pillar of blocks when he declared his candidacy.
For just one party.
Quackity ran under the party banner of So We Are Gamers, or Swag for short, choosing George Not Found as his running mate, who promptly lived up to his name by failing to show up to the presidential debates. Way to have a brand and stick to it, man. Oh, and you heard me right, presidential debates. The parties of Swag 2020 and POG 2020 ran full-on campaigns, including key endorsements. Quackity was at an immediate disadvantage here, as his one key alleged endorsement, KSI, never actually showed up.
My one endorsement is KSI. He just hasn't happened to responded yet to my endorsement plea. He's my one endorsement.
To be fair, KSI does eventually respond because KSI joins the server. I guess he doesn't technically endorse Quackity, but he hangs out with Quackity. They make a school. The school only teaches sex ed and doesn't teach it very well, but that is a thing that happened.
More like KSI Not Found, him and George Not Found playing Yahtzee in the corner. Wilbur and TommyInnit, wanting to assure the voters that they were the party that best represented the will of the people, touted several key endorsements.
If they were the V-Fuck party, that probably would have worked better.
From JSchlatt. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait, JSchlatt, didn't I just say that he was banned back in July, several months before the election took place? And that was what the crowd said too. But apparently a server ban wasn't about to stop Wilbur and Tommy from bringing him in to deliver the key endorsement.
Now, after doing a lot of negotiations,
Get out
boys,
of here.
I've
got my
managed
endorsement. Here he comes. The one, the only.
Wow.
Except JSchlatt's endorsement speech went very quickly off the rails.
Wasn't he drunk?
Democracy is overrated. You think you need a president? I'll be my own president.
Stick to the script. Off the stage, please. Off the stage.
Anyway, with this
Puns was
wild
about
card
it.
entering the race, things had thoroughly gone to chaos. With JSchlatt actually challenging him, Wilbur and Tommy decided to resort to political horse trading in order to avoid the possibility possibility of a JSchlatt presidency, why not invite Swag 2020 to join Pog 2020 to form a giant super party, SWOG? A fusion event so great that it would be guaranteed to beat JSchlatt. Unfortunately, it backfired.
But so, okay, so like this is, I mean, I remember all of this, but I'm waiting for the theory part. I'm waiting for the dark future of the Dream SMP, because I'm sitting here, I'm bouncing in my chair, like I've got ideas. And I'm just watching MatPat because I'm like, all right, you're setting it up, but what's the theory? Where do we go? And it's
good news was that Quacky, who didn't act.
Let me know in the comments, are most game theories like this? Are they more history and then a little bit of theory at the end? I would have assumed that they were all theory almost all the way throughout. It's a pretty accurate retelling of the events, to my knowledge anyway.
Actually want to be president and was
but
only
just
running as a challenger to Wilbur, was willing to give his party's votes to another party. The bad news was that he chose
the
JSchlatt.
swerve.
I was
the
enticed by your
what
SWOG idea until you immediately admitted to me that you would only use me for votes. You guys have clearly been trying to use me this entire time. So it's JSchlatt 2020.
It's the kind of thing that makes you think maybe from the start that this was all a ruse by JSchlatt, promising to endorse Pog 2020 only to get himself unbanned and then enter the fray and take over for himself. The man over here is executing some epic big brain maneuvers. In the end, Pog 2020
the problem with that is that
45% of
like,
the vote, Swag 2020 won 30%.
I honestly don't believe JSchlatt wanted to necessarily be on the server. I mean, like, I guess he did, but like, I feel like he was totally content doing his own thing, and then he just sort of happened back on.
JSchlatt won 16% of the vote, with Swag giving its votes to JSchlatt. JSchlatt wins the election with a combined total of 46%.
Who was the other? Oh man, Dream SMP trivia fans. Who was the other? Wasn't the other 9% like muffin or like cookie? It was like bakery. It was the people in the bakery. That's like all I remember.
Pog's 45%, and that is where the reign of terror begins.
That's gonna
effectively
kill me
hijacked
now.
the democratic process, decided that it was time to run the old party out of town.
My first decree as the president of Manburg, the emperor of the
To be an emperor, you have to have an empire.
The citizenship of Wilbur Soot and TommyInnit.
Yep.
Wilbur Soot and TommyInnit were
ran out on a
exiled.
rail,
The
my
Pog
friends.
2020 campaign was no more, but it lived on in spirit within the nation of Pogtopia, building their own secret base of operations and working with a few members of the administration who managed to avoid exile. That's right, they had a spy on the inside of JSchlatt's operation, and that spy's name was Tubbo. Despite winning the election, JSchlatt wasn't really winning over the people. You know, calling democracy a lie, immediately exiling half the population, ain't gonna win you too many friends. So
There are more residents. Weren't there more residents of Manburg than the three of them? Because I feel like Quackity was also a resident of Manburg, and I seem to remember it being a lot bigger. And also, this is interesting. This is interesting. I don't want to call it revisionist history necessarily, but it's interesting because they say that JSchlatt wasn't winning people over. But if you remember, one of Wilbur Soot's entire reasons for questioning whether or not he was the villain was that JSchlatt was winning people over. He took down the walls. Things were going well, and well enough, in fact, that they had a festival. Or is there something that I'm missing there?
to get a few popularity points, he began planning the Manburg Festival as a celebration of democracy, with Tubbo to plan the events and deliver the keynote speech. Tubbo and the Old Guard seized the opportunity to upstage the festival by placing TNT under the event stage. All Tubbo had to do was to give his speech and run away before the TNT went off, but JSchlatt had other plans.
He found out.
Have been beaten down by royals and dictators for so long, now we are finally free. Free to elect who we want, free to live how we want.
Yo, Tubbo needed his day, man. Tubbo needed his day, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And now I don't know if this is a Tubbo household, my friends. I'm on the fence with Tubbo. I should show you my whiteboard. I've got the big alignment chart of everybody and how I feel about them. And Tubbo, I don't know about Tubbo right now. And like him dropping an anvil on Technoblade like he's the Roadrunner.
Thinking about it, Tubbo.
Nothing sinister at all about that laugh. By the end of the speech, JSchlatt had encased the undercover spy Tubbo in yellow concrete, sentencing him to immediate execution.
Help me do something real quick.
Okay.
Oh, that is concrete. I thought it was wool at the time.
Yeah?
I know what you've been on.
Bedrock.
Fire it with the the tyrants that we kicked out of this server, that we kicked out of this great country. Do you know what happens to traitors, Tubbo?
Tubbo was sentenced to death by rocket
Oh man, it
launcher,
looks weird
with
from Techno's
Tubbo's
perspective.
ally, Technoblade being the one to serve as executioner. There was a little accidental collateral damage with JSchlatt also dying in the explosion, but don't worry, he got better. Across all of these events, one thing should be painfully clear. JSchlatt is, in D&D terms, totally lawful evil. Wilbur Soot, not the character, but the out-of-character writer, who's the closest thing we have to a creative authority for this chapter of the SMP,
What do you mean the closest thing? He was the creative authority. Like, why undermine that by being like, was the closest thing? He did an awesome job.
In a Reddit post, quote, "Schlatt is very lawful evil. Schlatt follows one creed. I was elected fairly. I will rule until I lose the next election. He uses this power malevolently to assert dominance and punish rebellious factions."
I'm reading the
Emphasis
other stuff.
on punishment. Schlatt isn't very concerned with keeping order or even maintaining justice. His priority is delivering suffering and pain to those he sees as deserving it under the law. Now, after this failed attempt at insurgency, it was only inevitable that JSchlatt's Manburg would go to war with Pogtopia. With JSchlatt's reign of terror coming to an end...
Was that picture? I'm going to go back because I don't think... That's not JSchlatt's Manburg, is it? I think that's a different shot of because JSchlatt's first order was to tear down the walls and put up the new flag. I mean, Pogtopia is pretty spot on. That looks like everyone's favorite hole in the ground. But still, like, Manburg, this is before Manburg became everybody's favorite hole in the ground. That was at the festival.
Pogtopia, with JSchlatt's reign of terror coming to an end in the most anticlimactic way possible. Running away from the fighting, stumbling into the hot dog van that originally served as the nexus for Wilbur Soot and TommyInnit's
Where's the hot dog?
Getting drunk
Hot dog was on top of
what
it.
appeared to be a stroke or a heart attack.
Anybody smell toast?
For those of you who don't know, smelling toast is actually a classic symptom of having a stroke. Anyway, the much beloved leader received a massive funeral, with everyone behaving with exactly the level of reverence and decorum that you'd expect them to show for JSchlatt.
His entire body was picked apart and taken.
What remains weren't taken as souvenirs were recovered by Quackity.
I did not know that. I remember being shown that when Ranboo joined, but I didn't realize that it happened at this gigantic funeral. Wait a minute. Was this the same funeral? Is this the same funeral where Skeppy gave Bad Boy Halo like $5,000? Was that this funeral? I just realized like I've blown past that part and I completely missed it.
Of his own.
I have a plan. Within my possession are all 5 of JSchlatt's bones. I busted that grave open and I took it.
Wait, you're gonna try and bring JSchlatt back to life?
We bring JSchlatt back to life. But you know what Frankenstein did when he brought
that's a plan.
Frankenstein 2 back to life? Frankenstein 2 was under his
Frankenstein. The Frankenstein
You know what
monster's
this
name isn't
means?
Frankenstein.
We can use JSchlatt as a political puppet.
Quackity, did you actually read the book? Because if your takeaway was Frankenstein animated a monster and it was completely under his control and totally did not backfire at all, you might want to read a few of those chapters again.
That's a good point. You might want to read the end of the book.
What follows are my predictions about the future of the Dream SMP. And
Thank
it all centers around
you. 14 minutes in and we're at your predictions. I'm sorry. Like, I don't, whatever. Who am I to criticize MatPat? But, like, this is the part I haven't seen. This is the part I wanted to see. This is the part that everyone's going to skip ahead to. So if you skipped ahead here, shout out. I'm waving at you. Let me know in the comments below that you skipped ahead to this point, and I will, stop by my stream. I can give you a virtual cookie, maybe.
Man in particular. First off, in case it wasn't obvious, we haven't seen the last of JSchlatt. And I'm not just talking about his appearance as a ghost in a live stream of questionable canonicity.
Is this like part of the plot that you guys script?
It's pretty. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. How are you doing?
He's been too big a player for far too long to simply be written out of existence. And more importantly,
Debatable.
the groundwork has been laid for his eventual resurrection. Wilbur Soot mentioned on a live stream that the team was playing with the idea that each character gets 3 canon deaths before it's considered
That's
permanent.
pretty much a thing now, isn't it?
Everyone gets 3 canon deaths.
Before they real life die, yes.
Wait, it's funny because as soon as that was put in, that's also been sort of removed, right? Everybody gets 3 canon deaths, except you have an actual totem god in the server in the spirit of foolish gamers who knows what type of powers he's going to have. Also, fills a Minecraft in honor of his inventing Minecraft, I've been told, and his excellence in hardcore Minecraft. Fills a Minecraft, I believe, only gets 1 life. So not everybody gets 3, and those 3 may not exactly even be 3. Wait a minute. Didn't Is this let me know if this is a subplot I shouldn't know about, but didn't Jack Manifold die, and he's like back now? So, 3 except for when it's not.
JSchlatt's death during the festival rocket launcher explosion is canon, between that and his heart attack/stroke, he's yet to use up all his lives. Besides, this is too good of an opportunity for history to repeat itself in an absolutely poetic fashion. Because while JSchlatt is lawful evil and motivated to punish people for going against him, his role as Punisher is much more central than that. JSchlatt is almost like a karmic force of the universe who punishes people for their hubris. Remember, the entire reason he was able to rejoin the server in the first place was because the POG 2020 party thought it would be politically advantageous for them to receive his endorsement. They looked to use JSchlatt as a tool to achieve their own political ends, and it backfired horribly.
I kind of get what he's going for here. So his theory is that Schlatt is not even necessarily, like, Schlatt doesn't exactly have human form. Schlatt is more an entity that's representative of the evil in mankind, and when enough evil gathers together, JSchlatt will return. However, I would argue that we have seen, and this is just with my limited perspective, you probably know better than I do, we have seen colossal acts of evil on the server, the likes of which JSchlatt running his little company or running his little country, he would have probably called it a company, keeping Tommy and Wilbur out. That was nothing. That was tiddlywinks and pancakes compared to some of the acts of evil that just I've witnessed. I don't know what you've seen. But I gotta believe if everything was cupcakes and rainbows, you probably wouldn't still be watching the SMP. So I'm led to believe that there is considerable conflict in the not too distant future. So, and I haven't heard through the grapevine anything about JSchlatt coming back. So I don't know if that's necessarily
to them not only
going to be a
the
thing.
election, but being forced into exile by the monster they had helped to create, ultimately leading to an all-out war against the faction that he
Which, a
usurped
war with
from
fireworks
them.
is kind of a cool
And now we
war.
have ourselves a cackling Quackity saying that he plans to use the powers of necromancy to reanimate Schlatt as a political puppet, so now he can seize control of Manburg. Quackity, have you learned nothing? Based on the comment about Frankenstein's monster, the answer seems to be yes. It's my view that JSchlatt, more than being a mere villain here, is really more like a force of nature, something that people have and will continue to try and harness for their own end.
I kind of
with
dig this.
predictable results every
I can kind of get on board with this, although doesn't that really make Schlatt like Voldemort? Isn't that kind of where we're going here? By the way, +1 to Master Hand.
Like Wilbur Soot did in the early days of Manburg, and like Quackity has done more recently, it'll end predictably, with JSchlatt conniving some scheme that results in him returning to the game and him eventually sitting on the throne, with the people around him being forced to do battle against the very monster they helped to create. Much like the Joker in The Dark Knight, his real power hinges on his ability to bring out the worst in others, and the only way for him to lose is for the people around him to allow their better selves to take over. Until then, JSchlatt will continue.
You're starting to lose me here. But again, that's just based on the little tidbits of information I have that are beyond the pale of what MatPat could see given his perspective at the time.
Continue to be a relentless force, delivering karmic irony upon those who think they can use him as a puppet. But hey, that's
if only the
just
plot
a
had been that
theory.
simple.
A game theory. Thanks for watching.
He said the thing. He said the thing. That is the thing. So I guess that's it. I guess the dark future of the Dream SMP, the as dark as it could get, was allegedly that JSchlatt is going to weasel his way back into the server to do something with Quackity. Now, my friends, I gotta believe, like I said, I gotta believe that based on the information you have, one, that hasn't happened, because I've heard things about Ghostbur, but I haven't heard a whole lot about Schlatt doing much of anything. Honestly, the only thing that I've heard is that Schlatt joined the Epic SMP, not the Dream SMP, but he's over on the Epic SMP, so I don't know if that's going to be something that, I don't know if he shifts planes. I don't know if he's going to be on both at the same time. I don't necessarily know how that's going to work. So we jokingly did a little exercise on this on my Twitch, twitch.tv/YoBGS. I'm live now. Stop by and see me. Where I tried to explain how we get from where we are to where I think we are, and that failed miserably. So take my predictions with a grain of salt here. But honestly, where I would go with all of this is that Dream has now realized that, well, Manburg was weakened, but now Tubbo has sort of started rebuilding it. But Dream is going to realize that Manburg is now a government again, and his goal is to sort of instill chaos wherever possible. He helped Techno out when Quackity tried to execute him. So I think there's this weird thing where Dream, it would behoove Dream to work with Technoblade. It behooves Tommy to work with Technoblade. But Dream hates Tommy, and vice versa. So I can't figure out how the three of them are going to get together, but they all sort of have the common enemy of they don't want Manburg in its current form to exist. I don't think that involves JSchlatt, though. It certainly doesn't involve Ghostbur. Ghostbur's way too wholesome of a human being. Ghostbur will probably give away the entire revolution, but the dark future of the Dream SMP would likely be contained to some sort of demonic ruling of both Dream and Technoblade, where Dream does the actual policy aspects of things, and if anybody tries to organize, Technoblade murders them to death. That would be a dark future of the Dream SMP. Honestly, my predicted future for the Dream SMP is a little bit more optimistic. I think that things are eventually going to sort themselves out. Working through some of the details is a little bit difficult. That's why I said, if you want me to flesh this out in a full video, please leave a comment down below, and I will tell you what I think the future is for the Dream SMP, both in a, like I said, the evil sense, if Dream gets his way, or in the good sense, where essentially they're going to have to lock Dream away. Like, I don't know, it's almost like Star Wars strats, right? You're going to have to encase Dream in carbonite 80 million miles below the Earth to even have a chance at peace here. But even if you do that, you have Technoblade actively destroying any form of order that establishes itself on the server, so you almost have to find a way to encase Technoblade in the same amounts of carbonite and bury him far away from Dream, because if you put the two of them together, they're going to break out. So again, if that's something you'd be interested in me elaborating on further, please let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, I'm live on Twitch. I'm going to try and beat Minecraft as another animal. We'll see how that goes. Take care, my friends, and as always, I will see you for the salty runback.